Thank you for joining us on this very special day as we celebrate the official beginning of Butler's membership in the new Big East Conference. Joining me on the panel today, immediately seated next to me, the president of Butler University, Jim Denko, our director of athletics, Barry Collier, our head men's basketball coach, Brad Stevens, and our head women's basketball coach, Beth Couture. Also in the audience, we have Dr. Joe Kirch, who's a chemistry professor at Butler University. If you'd raise your hand, he'll be available for the media afterwards. He's also a member of the university's athletic advisory committee. And we have Alex Barlow in the room, junior finance major, men's basketball, and he'll be available afterwards. Now, unlike a typical press conference, we are also taking questions today via Twitter. So fans can use the hashtag #ButlerBigEast to submit their questions, and Michael Kaltenmark in the back of the room will be getting those forward to us and asking to our panelists. So to get us started, we'll start with President Denko. The move for the university, what does that mean?
Let me pull this over here. Well, good morning, everyone. We're very excited today, our first day in the Big East, and we appreciate you all being here today. Really, there's so many positive things about this move to the Big East. It's another very positive step in terms of Butler's national recognition. The opportunity, frankly, to join a group of elite, nationally recognized universities. It's a great fit for Butler. The discussions that have been going on right from the beginning about this conference, the approach to this conference in terms of having a values-based approach where both academics and athletics are considered high on the scale of things that we really expect from our universities. It sets high aspirations for Butler. The competitive nature of the league. There's so many things that come together in terms of this move. A great step for Butler, a great step to be on a national platform. The contract that we have with Fox Sports is going to provide us great national exposure as well. So there's so many things that really come out of this. And for me, what I have seen in our athletic programs, I see in our classroom, is that we do set a high standard, high aspirations for ourselves. We want to compete, and this is a very competitive move. We're going to be with a great group of schools, both on the court and off the court, and very excited about this opportunity.
Now I'll ask Barry to elaborate a little bit about what this means to the athletic department, and obviously we're seeing changes going on with this building that we're in, among them along with the conference transition.
Thanks, Joe. I think there are many things at Butler that are moving us forward and illustrating opportunities that we're taking advantage of, and this move to the Big East offers Butler a significant platform, and Butler in return offers quite a bit to the Big East. Our combination of academic achievement and athletic success makes us a perfect fit for the Big East. We, as Jim mentioned, we've got a project going on here at Hinkle Fieldhouse for our preservation of this historic building, and the campaign for Hinkle Fieldhouse is in full swing, and we're actually in probably the second half of that now, with the end of the game coming, and we appreciate everybody that's been a part of that and has helped us support this magnificent building, and we need everybody's support for that, so that'll continue. But more specifically, the opportunity for our student athletes to compete in a prominent, fantastic league with schools that think and compete and accomplish the same way that we do is very exciting. I think that anytime you get in a competitive situation, it makes you better, and we seek those opportunities every day. So while many people will take their first look at Butler through the television, through Fox Sports 1 here shortly when they fire up that new cable channel, and the exposure that we'll get in starting out in over 90 million homes, it's going to be a great opportunity to showcase Butler University and begin the conversation of future students that will come here, and faculty for that matter, that will learn about us through athletics. And so we're excited about this opportunity. I know our student athletes and coaching staff and supporters are all very excited for what the future brings. We're extremely happy to be in the Big East Conference.
Now let's talk specifically about our basketball program. First of all, we'll start out on the men's side with Coach Stevens and ask what this move means to the men's basketball program.
Well, I think anything that is great for the school is great for the men's basketball program. And so, you look at it in a coaching perspective. You look at things both short term and long term. And clearly, this is a terrific opportunity long term for the university, and hopefully will provide a stability with a number of very similar schools to us moving forward. And I think obviously that there's tremendous benefit well across the school and outside of the athletic department, but from a coach in a specific program, I think that's obviously that's number one. And then in the short term, it's a great opportunity for our players to get a chance to not only compete against very good schools, but compete against new schools and new programs and coaches that are unique to our schedule and everything else that really make you rise to the challenge and focus even more on the next step in the next game. So our guys I think our guys, and Alex can talk more about this, are really excited about it. I know our staff has done it very similar to last year. It's unique because we kind of had a trial run in what I thought was a terrific league in the A10 as well. But as far as we're adjusted to the travel, especially out east, and we also have a pretty good idea about how to attack the next few months with regard to preparing our team and what we need to focus on. And I know I'll be asked this a couple of times, so I'll answer it now. We're not focusing much on the other schools right now. We're proud to be a conference member with them. We're proud to be affiliated with them. But our focus and our attention has to be, especially with 6 freshmen on our team. And so that's where we will be until we cross those paths down the road.
Now let's shift to the women's program. Our women's team coming off its 4th postseason berth in the last 5 years. Coach, what does the Big East mean to our women's program?
Well, it means a lot to us. We're just so excited. We're so excited we get up and worked out at 6:15 this morning to get ready for it. But I think when you look at the Big East and women's basketball, you look at a nationally recognized league with great athletes and legendary coaches. So we feel a challenge here to do our best to compete as soon as we can. I think the rivals that we'll create will be great. It'll be different. I mean, for our fans, to bring St. John's, Georgetown, Marquette, DePaul in here to play women's basketball will just be outstanding. So our players are excited, our staff's excited. I think the biggest difference for us, though, is we've always been able to get the top student athlete here at Butler. Student-wise, we're second to none academically. But now we're finding in a very short time that we can also get the top-notch, the next-level athletes. So I think for us and our program, we feel the future is going to be very bright, and we're very excited about the long-term goals that we can put into place for our program.
Now at this time, we'd like to open the floor up for questions for the panel.
President Denko, how will this impact the growth of the university from an enrollment-wise, construction-wise, all of that? Where do you see this going 10, 15 years from now?
Well, there's somewhat related but unrelated issues, frankly. The issue of growth for the university has been something that's been discussed, over the last couple of years quite intently by the board of directors and ourselves. But a lot of that is predicated on maintaining that tradition that we have here of intimacy in the classroom and experience where both our faculty and students really get to know each other. So that really is an important aspect of what we do here at Butler, and it's not necessarily going to be affected by the move to the Big East. I think what the Big East affords you to do is more of a quality opportunity than a quantity opportunity, right? So what's going to happen, we expect, we saw a very, and we've seen a very steady increase in the number of applicants to the university over the last 4 years or so. And we have to give a lot of credit to that, to the national exposure that we've got through the men's basketball program. We expect that will continue, but it will allow us to be a little bit more discriminate in terms of the types of students that we accept and enroll here. So we're not looking at any major growth that is going to come as a result of the move to the Big East.
Barry, when you took over as basketball coach, I read somewhere that there were 15 season ticket holders. Today you're joining one of the best basketball conferences in the country. what does that say about the growth the past decade or so to put you guys on this national stage?
Well, to state the obvious, we have more than 15 season ticket holders now. The improvements that have come on through the work of many people and the improvement, the training, and the accomplishments of our student athletes have made this day possible. This doesn't happen, in one day or 1 year. And that goes back way before I was the coach here. I think there's a great connection to Butler's place in college basketball and its connection, leadership that was provided by Tony Hinkle. We're closing in on Tony Hinkle's 100th birthday of coming to Butler University in about 8 years, I think it is. And that says quite a bit about our tradition and what Butler's always been about. And it's important that we maintain those values. We consider ourselves a value-based organization, and this fits in very nicely with that. So, we've come a long way, but we don't look backwards very often. We're looking ahead and facing challenges and seeking accomplishment.
And to go along with that, Brad, when you joined the basketball program 13, 14 years ago, could you have ever foreseen home conference games against Georgetown, St. John's, Villanova?
I don't know that I ever really thought about that. I think a goal would have been to foresee those games, those teams coming to Hinkle. But doing it every year as part of one league is really a great opportunity. And I think Barry's being modest. I think the role that he played set us all up to run with it. And I do think that also, and this is really important, we talk to our team all the time about this too, is that, we get nice new uniforms, we get to travel well, we get to do all of those things. And, Matt Howard, Brandon Miller, Joel Cornett, Mike Green, AJ Graves, the guys that came before them, every single one of those guys is the reason we're sitting here. And that's from a basketball perspective. Obviously, there are a lot of other things that go into this, but from a basketball perspective and the growth of our program specifically, those are the people that deserve this day as much as anybody, in my opinion. It's really a cool thing for them, and I'm sure a lot of those guys are watching, are going to pay attention. But I know that they feel really invested in this, and I think those guys deserve the biggest pat on the back in the last 13 years.
Brad, how do you balance fan expectations and your expectations with the growth of the program?
I said that without saying Gordon and Shelvin. That's absolutely crazy, by the way. Gordon and Shelvin were obviously they were probably as good as anybody we've ever had, and then as much. Excuse me. Go ahead.
How do you balance expectations of the program and the team in terms of the growth with the conference and fan expectations?
I'm going to be honest. Dave, you've known me long enough that the whole expectations thing doesn't really have any effect on me from the outside. I think the bottom line is I expect to operate the same way we've always operated, with a one day at a time focus, with the right people on the bus, with care about each other, with a care about doing things right, about representing Butler well. We had our freshman check-in last week, and the first two slides of our presentation were, this is a Bulldog is, a couple of bullet points, and a Bulldog is not, a couple of bullet points. If they stick to that, then they'll be fine and the experience will be great, regardless of what somebody else may expect of them. I think that if you get too caught up in what the outside world thinks, then certainly you can get bogged down with just the trophies or just the results. We've got to focus on process. We've always been that way, and it's important to me that that's the way that things are approached.
For Beth, some of the budgets in the Big East, if you look around for women's basketball, men's basketball, are astronomically higher than what Butler's budgets are. What's the challenge in competing and competing on the court when you're at a disadvantage off the court?
I don't really look at it as a disadvantage, because I think we have so many advantages at Butler over other people. So we really believe here it's about the people. So, our players probably don't even know that, because we don't talk about that. But I think we have pluses here. They can go in a classroom where it's a 11-to-1 faculty-student ratio. We had a transfer come in the other day, and they couldn't believe that they could sit in a class with 20 people and be a person. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we'll all be working to better ourselves, whether it's financially or budget, but it's about the people, and I think we have too much to offer to get bogged down with that.
And related to that, for Barry, what's the challenge from your leadership standpoint? You've got to raise some money to increase the budgets. I mean, it's going to be more expensive in the Big East than it was the Horizon League or A10.
Well, the Big East offers an opportunity for increased revenue for the whole university, for that matter, and specifically within athletics. These two people sitting next to me as our leading our basketball programs don't get bogged down in what we don't have or who we're not. We like who we are, and their expectations are high. There's a question earlier about expectations and outside, and I think that the expectations on the outside are pretty high, and they're higher than they were, but the process and the expectation and determination to do things the Butler way and to succeed by these two folks are somewhere
Yeah.
about there. And that's what I think is most important, is these are who lead our young people and give us are the face of our programs. And so it really is people are number one, and that's always been the case here, and we're very, very proud of our people and what they can accomplish and the challenges that they take on.
Coach Couture, what kind of impact do you think having a commissioner like Val Ackerman, somebody who's been involved with the women's game in the WNBA for so many years, what kind of impact do you think that's going to have on the conference and then maybe on Butler as well?
Well, obviously her experience with women's basketball will just help grow the women's basketball part of the league, but I feel like she's been experienced around. I was really excited when they announced her. I'll look forward to meeting her. I think she can do, as far as I'm concerned, I think she'll just help the whole league. I mean, we are a basketball league. Or conference, basketball conference. So I think she'll just help it elevate as high as it can go.
Okay, again, fans watching online at butler.edu live or butlersports.com can send in a question via Twitter. The hashtag is ButlerBigEast. Michael Kaltemark will be handling those for us. Michael, you have one right now?
Yeah, Joe, I have a two-parter here from Nick Musial. First question for Barry Collier. How are you going to define a successful first year in the Big East? And then for President Denko, what are some examples of how the rest of the school will benefit from being in the Big East?
Thanks, Michael. Well, Nick, thanks for your question. And the key thing for us is to move into this new league with all these new changes and remain the same people and with the same goals that we have. We have high expectations, high goals on what we do, but it really is about doing it the right way. We call that the Butler way. And so specific points of accomplishment, we look at it in a big picture kind of way. We want to accomplish the most that we possibly can, and we'll probably always think we can accomplish just a little bit more, and that'll keep driving us. So I would look for opportunities for us to go out and represent Butler University the way that we have and continue on that. The academic All-Americans, Katie Clark, track and field athlete, just got named another academic All-American at Butler just in the last week or so. So those kinds of things are very important to us, and we are very committed to being successful in the fields of competition. So we count on our student athletes and our coaches to train and to build successful programs. I'm confident we're going to have that kind of success again, and in the new Big East. But the way we go about it is probably the most important thing to us.
On the question of other ways that this move helps the university, there's maybe a couple categories of that I'd cite. One in the current environment of what's happened in the world of higher education, certainly there's been a lot of pressure on universities to continue to do better and to think about different ways that they might offer programs to students. Being with a group of universities such as Georgetown and Marquette and Villanova provides us a great set of universities by which we're able to kind of share ideas, best practices, learn. There's a big push amongst the presidents to make this not just about athletics, but about academics as well. So we've already been in conversations about ways that perhaps we could have some academic programs together, talk about ways perhaps that we could let our faculty visit there and vice versa, so best practices across the university. Organizational and operational excellence is very important to us here at Butler, and we've really got that in our targets to continue to improve. So we've had a couple of groups already out visiting Villanova to compare what they do. We had our grounds people out there recently to look at things that they do. I've been talking to the Georgetown president about making a visit at Georgetown with some of our people. So it really provides a great set of universities by which we could share and really learn some new approaches for Butler University. So that to me is a great advantage.
I guess for Coach Stevens, the Big East as well is changing, and with teams like Syracuse have left. How do you see in particular the men's basketball program kind of fitting in to help kind of regroup and help the Big East kind of move on and grow as a whole? Where do you see Butler kind of in the next few years fitting in that basketball talk up with the likes of Syracuse?
Well, I've never really compared us to anybody, nor is ultimately our job to figure out how to elevate everyone else. I think the best that we can do is elevate ourselves and do that as every day as well as we can. And in our Big East meetings, we talked about a lot of the great ideas that there are a lot of great ideas that went around the coaches meeting that were really great marketing ideas and great selling points for the new league and from a basketball standpoint. But the best selling point we can have are to have good basketball teams. And the history and tradition would say that this is a league full of good basketball teams. And I think that will sell itself if that continues. And obviously, when you look at the rosters in this league and when you look at the recruiting in this league, that's going to continue. And hopefully we can continue to do the same. I don't see any reason why we can't. But those things determine themselves down the road, and we're excited about the challenge. I think that's the thing that I really enjoy. But we've been fortunate. We haven't done it necessarily in an 18-game league schedule yet, night in, night out, against necessarily the size and some of the athleticism of some of these teams. But we've had our moments too. So we'll see if we can keep it up.
Yes, sir.
Brad, I think you said, Coach Stevens, on a lighter note, on the way, anytime I come to Hinkle, I always stop in the West Gym and see what's going on. And there is a kid there who's either 14 or 15 years old who is shooting one-handed three-pointers from beyond the arc. And I think you and I should get down there and talk with him.
I can't comment on that.
Jeremiah.
Brad, I think you said last week you don't want a recruit or a player to choose a program because of the conference they're in. But at the same time, have you seen in the last year and you see moving forward, being able to talk to some student athletes that, because of the Big East, because of the changes that the university has made, or do you still try to keep the same sort of values?
No, I think the bottom line is they were going to answer their phones anyways because it's Butler. The key is getting them to ultimately choose your school. And the two things that we have addressed in the recent past that will really enhance that opportunity to be chosen are the conference, the opportunity to compete in the Big East and the $34 million renovation. Those are two big things. The two Final Four runs opened up a lot of doors with regard to phone calls being answered. The key moving forward is that how can you continue to maximize your best opportunity to, get the decision, not just be something somebody's interested in or aware of, or maybe another great opportunity, but the opportunity as they look at it from each individual perspective. But what I said the other day, I do mean. Like, when you look back on your experience, it's about who you were with. And that really takes the cake. It's about who you were with and what that place did for you to give you your best 40-year window for success or fulfillment. And I think that this place does that. And I think that's why ultimately people should choose schools. That being said, in this world we live in, everything else matters. And certainly a conference affiliation and the renovations are huge, huge, huge parts of that.
Similar question on Twitter, Joe, from Kevin Swantek for Coach Couture. Does this move cause you to expand your recruiting territory, and how prevalent will local recruiting be?
Well, I think local recruiting will always be very prevalent. We need to, it'll expand it some. You know, we've gotten some interest from some East Coast athletes now, but I think what it helps us do is it helps us get the next level local recruit, which in Indiana and in the areas around, as everybody knows in here, there's really good players. So we feel real fortunate now to be, talk with the BCS schools around us and be able to elevate our recruiting to the next level. Like I said earlier, academically, everybody wants to look at Butler. Campus-wise, parents love to bring recruits here to see the campus, and now, like Brad said, with the renovations, it's just huge. I think with the Big East for women's basketball and the renovations will just allow us to get a higher caliber player, and I hope that we can still stay as local as possible, but we definitely will broaden out a little bit to the East Coast.
Within the non-conference schedule, this question's for Coach Stevens, but you guys have typically loaded up in there to get some signature wins before beginning the conference season. With the move to the Big East, playing schools like Georgetown, Marquette, and I mean, you go down all the way down the list, is that going to change any strategy going forward in terms of who you're going to schedule in the non-conference?
Well, I think I would correct you in saying that we've loaded up for opportunities to try to get a signature win here or there, right? And we've gotten a bunch of signature wins. Fortunately, we've gotten a few signature losses as well. So that's been a great thing, and I think our guys want to play against the best. The scheduling strategy has been pretty simple for us from the standpoint now we've decided, including our exhibition games, we want to have 17 home games a year. And that means we've got 9 Big East games, 2 exhibitions, that's 11. So we've got 6 of our 10 possibilities to schedule home games. And so that's what we'll do. We'll play the other games either on neutral courts or away, and then one of those next 4 will be an exempt tournament almost every year. So that will be what our schedule will look like. We'll still challenge ourselves greatly. Next year's schedule will be a great test for us, as it always is. And I think one of the things you have to weigh is certainly you've got those teams coming in and you play all those games, but you've got to be able to assess your team and figure out at break, in winter break, where you need to improve. And I don't think you're going to do that unless you've challenged yourself.
Coach Stevens, this being the second year for you to jump conferences or be blessed to be able to go to a new conference, where's your strategy change, this being your second go around to be able to do this? What adjustments will you take from playing in the Atlantic 10 in a new foreign environment, so to speak? What will you do more of the same of now?
Yeah, so basically I thought our guys handled the transition to the A10 as well as you could. So we're gonna do things very similarly. When I say that, for them to have to play 16 league games last year against 15 different opponents was really unique, and to have to learn about new opponents as late as March 7th at UMass before you play somebody, or I guess we had played one team twice before that, was really a unique test of not only the ability to translate it on the court, but also to maintain some freshness. At some point, the season does wear on you. And these guys did a remarkable job. I thought our staff did a remarkable job. And so if I could bottle that focus and that intent and that approach up, we will. And we'll try our best to do that. So, and I think I mentioned this earlier, we're not going to focus on everybody else this summer. We're going to focus on us. And there's a great, I I think we've got a roadmap for how we can best be successful, and I think our players are committed to that. The key is to get them up to speed as soon as possible because we have got a good mix of old and young.
A couple more questions on Twitter, Joe. This one from Student Body President Craig Fisher, asking Coach Stevens what kind of pitching performance he expects from Barry Collier tonight at the Indians game on our first pitch. And then, of course, for our president, Butler versus Villanova on New Year's Eve, who you got?
Jim, when you answer that, don't answer it with pride, but don't set me up for failure. Barry is, I don't know how well he throws, but I know this, and I learned this when I threw it out one time. Speed doesn't matter. Just get it over the plate. It's much more important that that thing lands in a glove. Eric, we were out there practicing. And the other part is, and then probably too late for this, but Eric came over and filmed me practicing on the baseball diamond before I went and did that. And the problem was, the next day my arm hurt so bad because I hadn't thrown a baseball in 10 years that I was worried it would bounce twice before it went over the plate. I threw it about 4 miles an hour and it went over the plate.
I should have done that. I had to throw out the pitch at our final men's game this year too, and I didn't realize it was okay to practice like that. So I'm happy the ball went over. It's really that's kind of a non-question. I think whether or not I'm going to be cheering for a former employer, Villanova, or Butler. My heart is clearly with Butler, and I know that we're going to do quite well. But it will be exciting playing there. I certainly in the 6 years I was there, I had built up a lot of good friends, and you know what was fun in this whole process was the enthusiasm for the Villanova side in terms of coming together again and having the opportunity to play. So I'm going to look forward to that game. I have a feeling I'll have a lot to be proud of when it's over. Right, Brad?
Any additional questions for our panel? Well, as our panelists have mentioned, we've been working hard to prepare ourselves for competition in the Big East, but there's one Butler community member that's also been working very hard. Our